Welcome. Thanks for joining me for this final video in the series. I've been asked by a few people just to put together a few hints and tips and consolidate some of the learning that I've had building the model, and so I'm happy to share that with you. I'm going to start in no particular order, but those of you who have been kind enough to watch the video will know that obviously the build itself took a number of hours, and I've spent probably longer longer painting the actual end result rather than as much as I have building the actual castle itself. So this is going to be broken down really into sort of two elements: the building and construction, and then how do we sort of dovetail that with painting for the best end result. Hopefully you like the end result that I've achieved, but clearly this is an individual thing, as I've said many times before, so I'd like you to think about the techniques rather than the end result, and just make sure it's something that you're happy with. So first things first, the actual kit itself doesn't come with too much in the way of labeling. I don't think it's too difficult though to work that out. Personally, this bottom section that I'm showing here, I think that's best assembled in situ and then painted before you stick any of the upper surfaces on. The possible exception would be these sections here and here, where we're actually raising them above this basic level. But certainly from an ease of painting point of view, I would be constructing those preferably on a baseboard, because I think that will help you maneuver the castle. Obviously, whether you like the finish that I've put on it or not, I still think from an ease of construction, it just makes the whole thing easier to handle and safer in terms of preventing sort of risk of damage, etc. So I would definitely look at how I constructed this wall section first. As you'll know, I've put some filler in here, but I'm still not completely happy with that end result, but it has made it slightly less noticeable. So I had my time again. I would build the bottom section, put some filler in here. As you know, this section here has a particular orientation on the board, on this baseboard. So again, I would not fit the outside walls until I'd located this correctly within the central courtyard. The central courtyard itself, go very careful about the alignment of the stones. As some of you will know if you've watched the video, I've had to recreate some of the outline of the stones in my castle simply because I put the orientation of the base panels slightly squiff. Again, I think it's a really good idea when you're building the bottom to put the panels in to strengthen this surface here. This, as you know, is purely cardboard. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that, but I just think that you're going to end up with a more durable result. Ideally, I would have put a 2mm MDF piece in there. I ended up using 4mm because that's what I had in the bits box. Just a word on the general sort of upper construction. I'm pleased with what I've done here, but I would say every single one of these tabs, and that includes the joining tabs that you'll find when you locate the base, is actually very tight. So I used a small file to actually extend the width of them, and I really don't think that will compromise the build at all. In fact, I think it will lend something to the overall finish, because you won't risk damaging it quite as much, and these things are still very much fixed, if you see what I mean, in terms of the overall end result. As you know, I put these cocktail sticks on the roof sections. I'm still very happy that I chose that route. I think if I had my time again, I'd do it from the outset. I'd put these much closer together, and I'd make a feature of the whole arrangement. And similarly, on these walls, I would repeat that process. As to the walls themselves, you may have remembered that I made a real hash of this, and whilst I blame myself, obviously, part of the problem is that the tags that you locate the cardboard on are not very forgiving in terms of alignment and size. And I, again, if I had my time again, would spend 5 minutes opening up those tabs, either on the actual model itself with a file, or on the actual wood cardboard section that forms a roof. Then I think you'd end up fitting them on the section much nicer than I was able to achieve. And I think it's really important to get the supports that are underneath this wall section properly aligned so that the wall flows naturally, as it were. So I think build the base, put the walls on, make sure you've got the alignment of all of the cardboard really sorted out, make sure you've given yourself a little bit more tolerance within those fittings, and I think you'll be onto a really good foundation to start from. I like the brick outlining. It's a matter of choice. It will take you a long time, so if you commit to this, just be prepared to spend quite a bit of time and have a steady hand. There are obviously ways to help matters, which is why I say, for me, painting this before you put any of the work into the walls or the roof, and even this wooden upper section, I think will be time well spent. And again, you can clearly paint this section before locating it onto the base, and that's probably a good idea. For my video, I was just as interested in showcasing the build as a single piece as I was about completing the whole model, which is why I kind of tackled it in 2 parts. I still think, though, that there's obviously room for improvement within that process. I've chosen, as you know, to put this golden relief on the upwards sort of angle of the roof, and I still think that's a good idea. Obviously, you may choose to glue your castle in place, and again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I just wanted mine to be removable so that it could be a gaming piece, and I could have figures located within it should I choose to do so. Other than that, the only other thing I was going to mention was about the doors. The doors come with an interesting profile. I'll just take one of those out, where there is a longer lug at the top than at the bottom. Just make sure you don't trim that off, either end for that matter, and just make sure that when you're locating the doors, you put the top section first, the longer piece at the upper section, and then that gives you the ability to fit the wooden bracer at the back if you so choose. Other than that, I think it's a really strong model. I don't think leaving the model with the natural roof and then perhaps putting a wash over it is a bad idea. For me, it's just that I really like the effect of the cocktail stick finish. Again, if you get through the model and you find better ways of doing stuff, then please send me a note. If you find that you're stuck and want some sort of inspiration, again, if I can help, more than happy to do so. But yeah, I'll make this the last video, honest, and then I'll move on to something more interesting, and hope you'll join me again. Thanks very much.